What's up guys, I'm Laura from Reading in Bed, and in my last video I made just a very brief and teasing mention of an email that I received. The email was from my good friend Jonathan Franzen, author of Freedom, among other things, and a couple of you wanted to know more. Well, 3 of you wanted to know more, whatever. So if you read Captain Underpants to your kids, you know how they start every story and then they say, but before I tell you that story, I have to tell you this story. So it's going to be one of those. We're going to go back to 2015 for a sec. I was on Twitter, where else would I be? And Book Expo America had just tweeted out that Jonathan Franzen was going to be headlining that year's Book Expo, which is weird because they don't usually have a headliner. And I just sort of retweeted it and very jokingly said, you know, oh my gosh, I'm going to be in Toronto that week. I should totally go because Toronto is just, it's easier to get from Toronto to anywhere than from where I live in Edmonton. I was completely 100% joking, but my friend CJ from the now sadly defunct book blog eBook Classics immediately responded and said, yeah, let's do it. So, long story short, we did. We went and we heard Jonathan Franzen speak. He was promoting his new book, Purity, which wasn't even out yet. And, you know, the talk was fine. Laura Miller was the interviewer. She is, you know, a noted Franzen friend. So, like, it was a real, like, softball kind of interview. But then they let people ask questions. and I actually had a question because he talked a little bit about writing female characters. And I knew that he had gotten a bunch of flack years before for an article or something he did where he wrote about how he thought it was icky, that was the word, when male authors write female characters. And you know, there was more to it than that, but that was the big pull quote. And people are like, oh my God, Franzen, like, oh my God, I can't believe you just said that. So he kind of touched on it in this interview, and I really wanted to ask a question about it. But I mean, yeah, no, there was no way I was going to stand up and ask a question in that room. I was already feeling super out of my league because, like, I was just a nobody blogger from Edmonton, Alberta, and like all these people were legit book people and whatever. So I didn't ask, but the questions that people did ask were so ridiculously bad that by the end of it, I was like, oh shit, I should have asked. The two that I recall that were the worst, the first one was some guy who asked in so many words, like, so, you know, as an author, when you work alone all the time and you write about all this depressing stuff, like, how do you keep yourself from falling into a deep depression and becoming suicidal? Like, that is really the question he asked. You know, like, Jonathan Franzen was very close friends with David Foster Wallace, who is an author who did suffer from depression and did kill himself. And he asked him that question, and I was just like, what is wrong with you? And I mean, the answer he gave was, you know, a very actually humble answer. He said he surrounds himself with people who, you know, aren't writers or, you know, who are writers, but have their own shit going on. So that, you know, just to not make it all about him, he tries to, you know, be interested in other people, basically. So that was one of the bad questions. The other bad question was this girl who stood up and basically asked him to write an essay for her. Like, she said, oh, I'm taking this class in post 9/11 American literature, and like literally read, here's the essay question that I am working on right now. And it was something about toxic masculinity or who knows what. And he didn't really answer that one. I think he just sort of laughed. But I was like, were people really asking him to write their damn essays and about, like, you know, mental illness and depression? And I mean, like, ask something about his books. Like, what is wrong with you people? So this was in 2015. And, you know, I had this in the back of my mind for a long time. I did my Franzen in February thing on my blog, which I can link to, in 2016. That was a lot of fun. Then in 2017, I was thinking, like, do I want to keep doing the Franzen in February theme on my blog? I thought, you know, maybe I'll try writing him some fan mail. Like, because wouldn't that be hilarious if he wrote back? Then, I mean, there's my big feature on my blog for Franzen in February. So I wrote a letter and I sent it, like, to his publisher. First thing, you know, like January 3rd or something of this year. And I didn't really expect to hear back. I mean, you know, and in my letter, I asked the question that I wish I had asked in that room. And I did tell him that, you know, I was there. I thought these questions were bullshit. And here's the question I wanted to ask. And it was about this whole, like, this ickiness comment. Didn't expect to hear back and didn't hear back and really almost forgot about it. Until I did hear back last week. I received an email, and when I first saw it in my inbox, I was like, what kind of weird targeted marketing is this? Like someone who just knows I'm a Franzen fan and kind of made the from address look like a legit, like it's legitimately from Jonathan Franzen. But when I read a little more, I was like, oh, I mean, he's responding to this letter that I mailed to him. So like, yeah, it's him. And I mean, I'm not going to read it out or publish it or anything. You'll just have to wait for my collected correspondence after my death, I guess. But he had such a thoughtful answer. First of all, I couldn't even find the original article where he made this comment, but he knew right away. He said, oh yeah, that was in a review of a Colson Whitehead novel, which now I will look up now that I have that information. And then he didn't really... Because my question was just like, what did you mean by icky? Like, tell me more about what you meant by icky. So he gave me a few more examples of what he was seeing. And like, he sees it as like, not every man writing female characters, but sometimes he feels like these authors are like, they're really writing a male character and they're just sort of like, you know, slapping a female identity on it and often making it sort of an object of desire. You know, like just making it so like, here's this woman, so now I'm writing a female character, aren't I, you know, aren't I great? But really it's just sort of a male gaze and an object of male desire kind of thing. That was the gist of it, which, you know, I kind of got that, but I wanted to know a little more. But he did give me some more examples of where he sees that in other people's writing, not his own writing, obviously. And yeah, so like that was great. Like he didn't just quickly dash off a sentence. He thought about the question that I asked him. Yeah, I mean, it was just like, I'm still kind of, I still don't really know what I think about it. I've never written a physical letter to an author before. This was my first try, like go big or go home, right? And it took 11 months, but I got a response back. How cool is that? And now I'm just like, do I write back? Because actually at the end of his answer to my question, he wrote, does that make sense? It's like he wants me to write back, right? But like, I don't know. I don't know if I can sustain an email correspondence with Jonathan Franzen without my head exploding. So we'll see. I'll keep you updated. But that is the story. That's the story of my email from Jonathan Franzen. I'm still kind of freaking out. And thanks to those who asked and wanted to know more. And thank you for watching.